Hey there, everybody. Welcome to my channel, The Magical Solution. My name is Leilani. Um, Tonight is Sunday night, which means that I would normally have an interview tonight. But I said, you know what? I think tonight I feel like my audience needs to get to know me a little bit better. I don't talk about myself much, especially in the public sphere. The very little that people do know about me is shared within my private groups on Facebook and Discord and in outside of outside of the internet, where the real people do things, right? Um so yeah, I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited about tonight to share some stories with you that I have been through in my journey as a spiritualist, and I'm excited to get vulnerable with each and every one of you. It's not, again, not really something that I do, but I think it's time. I've been online now. I've been online since 2011, but I haven't been um, outwardly out of like the closet, if you will, online until like 2015, 2017. Um, all of my spiritual stuff has always taken place like in the real world. And so it was really difficult for me to transition because I'm like very old school. I'm not good with technology. Like I'm just not. And I don't understand it. I don't anytime there's like a new app that comes out, I'm like real against it for like a good like year and a half, and then finally I'll give in and go in it. Like it took me forever to get on TikTok. Um but yeah, so this is an exciting adventure for me. Hello, Anna. Hello, Serenity, Lavetta, Butterfly. Hello, Stacy. There's so many wonderful people here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, for sure. So, in addition to just, telling you my stories and things like that, I definitely want to take questions too. I think it's important that this subject that we're going to be talking about tonight, it's going to be a subject that I think everyone has an opinion on, and I think everyone has a story about of some fashion. So I want to hear those stories. So definitely, leave comments, leave questions, and I would love, 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 love to interact with you guys for sure. Hi, Facebook user. It's not telling me who you are. So if you want to be known, just comment your name really quick, okay? Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Ramona. So tonight, what is tonight's live about? It is about spirituality and the subject of children within that larger context, right? And so obviously this can go anywhere, right? But I want to focus more so on the experiences that children have spiritually and the experiences that loved ones of children, of deceased children, may have, and all the little nuances in between, right? That's the kind of conversation I want to have tonight with you guys. um why is this so important to me? It's Mel, yay! Hey, Big Russ. Hey, Delamar. Hello, hello. um and so why did I bring this up? I brought this up, interestingly enough, because it is one of the most common questions that I will get asked. Hello, Stephen, my love. Um, when I'm giving readings, hey, Tina, my ride or die. When I'm giving readings, or even when I'm doing healing sessions and I'm working with clients who are dealing with a lot of trauma, it is always 90% of the time I'm dealing with someone that has spiritual trauma around childhood and or child spirituality being abused or misused in some type of way. And it's a lot of work. Hey, Eric, bendición. Um, so tonight is one of those nights where I feel, you know what? Since these questions get asked so much, since people need so much help around this subject, why don't we just talk about it? Why don't we just kind of put it all out there at least as much as we can with the limited amount of experiences that we all have, and see if we cannot put to rest or give ease and peace to people who are inquiring about these things. Okay. So, what did I want to start with? I'm by the way, I'm doing this completely on the fly. Like, I'm not sitting here with a notepad with every single client that I ever had regarding this subject. I am literally just pulling these stories from my memory bank, and hopefully I can do them service in telling them correctly, because your girl has really shitty memory too. So yeah, I remember. I want to share a story to start the live off, um, I guess with my own story, right? So that way we can kind of see where we're going with this, right? And my own story kind of just begins pretty much in nature. I was definitely a nature kid, despite being born and raised in urban areas. I always found a way to escape into natural settings to the best of my ability, right? And nature spirits were some of the first spirits to introduce themselves to me, in addition to ancestors, right? Now, prior to being able to walk and go outside and hang out in nature, I was very much a quiet, sort of isolated child. I did not want to play with other babies or other kids my age. I always found myself being in the adult places, listening in, and just sort of absorbing adult conversation and how to have those conversations. And why is this all important? This is all important because my experience as a spiritualist, being born with certain gifts, seemed normal to me at the time. And that's, I think, where a lot of people don't understand. Like, if you're not born with these certain abilities and you learn them later on, it it'll shock you at, like, when you do get exposed to certain things, or when you start experiencing certain things, it'll just shock you to think, to even comprehend that someone could have been living like that their whole entire lives. And how, like, if they didn't get the proper training or the proper intercessions and stuff, like, you could definitely see how someone would just, like, go just go off. And that was me. That was your girl. That was your girl for sure. Oh, I love this. Lavetta, you guys are already commenting. Yes, yes, yes. So Lavetta, children have more spiritual experiences than adults. This is true. And I definitely want to talk about that. Children manifest in the paranormal realm that have been traumatized and killed. They usually return to the last place of their lives, physical lives. Wow. Anna left a comment as well. Children are more susceptible to seeing because of their innocence. They are like a blank slate. I have had more experience as a child and not so much as an adult. Yes, I 1000% agree, you guys. 1000% agree. There's something to be said about children and the elderly. These two sort of extreme ends of our lifespan seem to be where connection with spirit gets much more enmeshed together, because one just came from there and one is about to go there, and there's this uh, closure, if you will, in space and time. Right? But that's not to say, and here's the thing, and that's not to say that life is not meant for you to have those experiences either. You are meant to have those experiences, and you do very much can have those experiences. Again, everything is a muscle. We're talking about cultural conditioning. We're talking about systematic repression of imagination, alone time, allowing oneself to be bored, allowing oneself to read and be within yourself and reflect and all that. That's all crushed very early, very, very early. So it makes sense that you got to work harder as you grow older, right? But so yeah, so growing up, these energies and these experiences were happening to me, and I thought it was just like normal. You know what I mean? I thought it was just how life was supposed to be. There's of course, there's colors around people. And of course, when there's an argument happening in another room, it feels like my heart is being stabbed, even though the argument has nothing to do with me. Okay. Yeah, I can hear disembodied voices, and it's not scary. They're just people chatting, but like everyone hears disembodied voices, right? And this is the kind of like inner monologue that I had with myself. It never even crossed my mind that other people weren't experiencing these things. And so it wasn't until I got to grammar school that it was made very clear that I need to shut up. I was considered, you know what I mean? Like I was considered the the social butterfly, the loud one, the interrupter, the just I mean, literally, they would write social butterfly on my report card. They would say, she's chatty. She's disruptive, right? And these are all things that I couldn't help because what I was experiencing was joyful. You get what I'm saying? Like it was like I was having fun with these spirits. I was having fun with these energies. I was safe in these spaces. I knew what I was feeling and it was great. And so like the fact that I would get in trouble for feeling those things, or the fact that I would get in trouble and then I'd be like, "But no, like this is what don't you see or don't you understand?" And it's like that's when things start to hit, right? And so I bring this up because I get a lot of clients that are parents of a special child, a gifted child, and many of them don't know what to do. They are like, I don't want to be like my parents, but also this is like really terrifying. And I get that. I get that. You have I was lucky in the sense that, like, my parents were so busy working and, like, doing their life in order to pay for our lifestyle that they literally didn't pay attention to me, and so because of that, and that's I mean, not like I was unsafe, but you know what I mean, like, my own little imagination and my own little playtime and my own little worlds, they weren't involved in that. And so it allowed me to explore that. Whereas someone with the same situation as me may have had parents that were very oppressive, very abusive, very harsh with them. So, like, you never really know, but both instances can can still cause a child to um, encounter trauma despite how it may look, right? Around spirituality. Because if it's not their parents, it's their school. If it's not their school, it's their friends. If it's not their friends, it's their employees. It's if not, you know what I mean? So like there's every step of life is an opportunity for someone to challenge what you know. That's all life is a challenge to what you know. And so the key, right? The key is to allow those challenges to arise because they're healthy for you, right? Um, they help you grow, and you allow those challenges to help you to question who you are, question what's really real and what really isn't real for you. And sometimes those things will change for you. Sometimes you will be like, wait a second. So this whole time I was experiencing this, but when I really relook at it from this perspective, it makes sense that it's actually this. And that's okay too. But the problem is that not every kid has that. Not every kid has that. And so when I say community raises a child, what I mean by that is, we as spiritual adults who understand now what the cost is, and that cost is trauma and mental health, and who knows how far else it can go. It is our responsibility to create safe spaces for these kids to explore their imagination, be in silence, reading books, allowing them to be bored, allowing them to explore nature, allowing them to fall and fuck up and make mistakes and still be accepted. I think it's and this is not about safe spaces in the sense of, oh, these kids are so sensitive and all this. It's That's not what I'm talking about. First of all, if you have that perspective, we need to talk. we, we need to have a talk, because I'm definitely a millennial too, like an older generation millennial, and I find myself getting caught in those like verbal gymnastics about, generations hating the next generation after them. But the reality is that, yeah, they are sensitive. And yes, they are. And we need that right now. Because I don't know about you. I don't know what news station y'all be listening to, but the one I'm listening to, the one I'm seeing, is newscastings of the most vitriol type of hatred, the most disturbing, disgusting expression of hatred I think I've ever seen. And it's in, at least in my lifetime, not having read them in the books. Gracias, Ashun. Thank you so much. So when people say, oh, these generation of kids, they're so soft, they're so emotional, they need safe spaces, yes, the fuck they do. Because here's the reality of it. The way culture happens, right? The way societies move, if they plan on evolving and getting, moving, is that you will have a pendulum swing regarding society and their collective consciousness. And the last like freaking 30 years, if you will, more, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not a historian. But I will say this, the history that I've read, that pendulum was all the way on the side of like dumb fuckery and hatred and just heartless people. And you know what? I'm totally cool with being on the other end of that pendulum swing. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have a lot of sensitive people. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of overreactions. There's going to be a lot of, extremism within that sensitivity and within those, volcanic emotions. Of course, that's how it works. But those of us who understand that, that's our responsibility to mediate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our responsibility to be like, whoa, 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 kids, calm down. I get you. I feel you. But let's take it down a couple of notches. Let's see how we can do this practically. Let's see how we can. You know what I mean? And maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe their sensitivities, maybe their extreme emotions and their extreme actions towards change, maybe that's what we fucking need. Who knows? Who knows? Just ride the wave with them, right? But part of riding that wave is seeing where their gifts are and really encouraging that, really like allowing that to grow and blossom. All right, I'm off my pedestal for a minute. Let's read some comments. I'm so sorry. So my handsome Steven, he says adults will cause children to lose ability by molding them for life. They steal their innocence. Children know their origins because they just arrived to this place from there. Facts. Facts. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to when parents say things like, oh, my baby's like a carbon copy of me. Like, that's like weird to me. I mean, I'm not judging them or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a cute little sentiment and everything like that. And yeah, passing on your legacy and all that. But like, just like the idea of something being a carbon copy of you and like leaving that behind. There's something, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. There's something weird about that, especially in a world where there are so many orphaned children, so many abandoned children, so many children being needlessly killed. And it's just like, if that is if making a carbon copy of ourselves is more important than taking care of what's here and how we take care of whatever's going to come in the future. I think that's tough for me. You know what I mean? As a very sensitive person, it's tough for me, you know. Gypsy Moon, what's up? Tina, did you jump over from Instagram over to TikTok? Did I see you just do that? You crazy. Oh my goodness. Some are born with the veil. Yes, Lavetta. Um, it would be good if someone started a school for these very gifted individuals. Oh, there's schools. Oh, there's schools, Lavetta. Ooh, girl. There's schools. There's a few. I mean, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. These schools are very much um centric to a particular like religion or like philosophy. So there's witchcraft schools that are right here in America and in Europe. So these Wiccan and witchcraft schools for these gifted kids. And then there's like psychic medium schools, mediumship, evidential mediumship schools for these kids. Then there's like a very small amount. We're starting to see this particular field grow in the last like 10 years, especially being pioneered by, you know, psychotherapists like, uh, what's her name? Edith Brown. Um, but the point is that this small group of people of employment is what are they called? Child psychologists. And these psychic child psychologists are, you know, creating these small type of therapy groups and whatnot. So they use psychology almost like a guise, if you will, which is, I mean, it is in there, but it's more so a spiritual development group that they foster, and then they add like the psychology in there to ensure, you know, confidence, positivity, all that good stuff. So they are there, they do exist. I think those resources just need some more fine tuning. We need more of them, depending on our location, um, and we need those resources to be spoken about like vastly, like quickly, because we're not talking about a generation that's coming. We're talking about a generation that's been here since like 1986, 1987. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, we're talking about those late millennials all the way through now and moving forward. These are the kids that are stupid gifted and will increasingly get more gifted as they are born. Um, and I think that's a little terrifying for some people. That's a little terrifying for some people who are in the know, but not in agreement with it, right? Mm. So Lavetta says it is good to help children to go to the light or pass over during investigations if they wish and have finished their business. Lavetta, that's a really great point. That is a really, really, really great point. So I freaking I hate it with a freaking passion. And when I refer to ghost hunting, I'm referring to like the media, the stuff that you see on TV, um, the stuff that you hear on the radio. I mean, just and it only comes out during like Halloween time, and it's very like it's too much, right? But I respect the investigative process because the technologies and the tools that these motherfuckers are coming up with are so dope, like so dope. And they're really accessing spirit in whole new advanced ways that's like wow, right? Now, when it comes to ghost children, spirit children who are stuck in a particular place or is attached to a particular person, I need y'all to be really aware that there are people in the world who do not believe that. There are people in the world that assume that because they are children, because they are close to source, that regardless of how they died, regardless of what happened, they are going to immediately cross over. They're going to be safe. All is good. The angels are going to carry them away. We don't ever have to worry about it again. And like, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to that. I really don't. Like, I want parents to feel comforted at the idea that their child, if was lost, is going to go straight away. And if that does comfort you, please continue to believe that. I want you to believe that. And please understand that I'm not talking about all children either. We're talking about very, very specific circumstances that these children had gone through. And those circumstances caused a condition within the spirit, within the perispirit, that may result in a child not necessarily crossing over right away. Okay? So, um, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. And so, yeah, when you do see a child spirit, hi, Daisy. When you do see a child spirit in a space or attached to a person, that is a very delicate situation. And a consultation must happen if that mother or if that parent wants that, of course. And once that consultation happens, the goal is to move the child on. That is the goal. If you are an ethical medium, an ethical um, um, spiritualist that aids in crossing spirits over, et cetera, right? So that's the goal. It's I can't judge other traditions. I can't, because context matters. Context matters, right? But we need to be aware, like, there are traditions, for example, that don't believe in crossing children's spirit over. That instead, when children's spirits are stuck here, they don't stay children, they become demonic or evil or mischievous because they are still attached material. There are some traditions who believe that there are no such thing as children ghosts. And if you do encounter children ghosts, you are in fact encountering a demon. And so there are even traditions that, because of these belief systems, will oftentimes either celebrate these spirits, you know, coming in and out of our world. And you can celebrate, and they celebrate them in various kinds of ways, depending on the part of the world. And then you have traditions that will literally trap these children's spirits, or these demonic spirits, children's spirits, into, certain fetishes like dolls, or stones, or wood carvings, things like that, to then utilize later. So it's important for us as spiritualists to be aware of these practices, because when someone comes to you for help, part of your consultation is, what is their culture? Where do they come from? What is their belief system? Why do they believe the things that they believe? You're not just a spiritualist to pull some cards, to talk to their grandma, to tell them that grandpa's talking about his watch, and to make them feel good. Yes, that's there too. That's wonderful, and that's a lovely surface level conversation, and whoever needs that conversation, go get that conversation. But if you're coming to a spiritualist like me and some of the people that I network with, that surface, that'll come at the end to kind of close it in a nice way. How about that? We'll give it to you at the end. But we're going to talk about things, right? We're going to talk about things, and children's spirits is such a delicate subject. So please, please, if you do this work, consider that, and that the goal is to move them on. So beautiful comment, Lavetta. Mar says it is important that we not dilute our children with our ideas of spirit, to let them discover what it is for themselves. I couldn't have said it more. I'm actually going to put that up. I couldn't have said it better, because that's exactly how I learned. I was so blessed. I was so fortunate. Thank God. That's exactly how I learned. Everything I did as a child exploring spirituality was through trial and error. It was through discovery. It was through asking questions. It was through putting myself in positions to learn from some of the greatest minds in the world. It was because of my fascination as a small child of like 2 or 3 years old to want to be in adult spaces during and only during they were talking about history, philosophy, politics, and religion. Anything else? Don't talk to me about nothing. I don't want to talk about drama. I don't want to hear about whose cousin is talking about whose cousin and who's sleeping with who. I don't want to know that. But when y'all were talking about these things, you best believe little Leilani was over in the corner somewhere just straight up, and it was all that's all what shaped my experiences. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say you can't give your child values and ethics and morals, and that's not to say you're not to give your child hard, fast, steady rules for their day-to-day lives. We're simply saying, or Delamar is simply saying that it's important that when it comes to their spiritual practices, that they at least be given all the information. Give them all the information. Don't sell your kids short. Give them all the information. You may need to give that information in small doses at a time, in which one concept may take you several weeks to cover sporadically. But regardless, you're doing that and you're letting them sort of come to their own thing. Steven, my advice to parents. Oh, and let me, you know what? Let me just post it. I'm not even going to read it. Let me post it. My advice to parents is that the best way to support their child's spirituality is to allow them to be in nature. Yes, baby. Where they are familiar with spiritual essence. Yes, loose. Don't teach them what to see, but facilitate ways for them to discover how to see. Can we all just take a moment? Let's just take a moment and just sit with that, please. So if you don't know who Steven Salinas is, Steven is a dear internet friend of mine that I just absolutely adore and love so much. He is what we would consider, or what we would describe as, a contemplative mystic, taking these subjects of spirituality and taking them so deep. And on his mundane side, he is a teacher of our youth. He works with these children that we are talking about. And he identifies these gifts within these children. And so when you get parenting advice from this dude, that means something. Okay. So thank you so much for that. That is exactly it. That's it. you know, So yeah, exactly. So that's another, the mocking spirits. So mocking spirits, there is such a thing as a category of mocking spirits, and they will often manifest as, sounding like children or appearing as children. So yes, you're right. You're right about that. You're right about that. And again, that's part of a particular tradition, a particular idea, right? Um, so again, this comes from, if I can give an example of a client that I had. So this was back in 2005. 2005. It was a college friend of mine who got pregnant, had the child, but the child died prematurely. They had a lot of medical issues. She dealt with a lot of medical issues with that child, right? But loved that child. And when the child passed, she was at my door, no lie, like 4 times a week, wanting to communicate, wanting to, reach this. And I got that a lot, you guys. Like, I positioned myself, by no fault of my own in the beginning, in, usually very impoverished areas. And then as I grew older, I realized what my purpose was, and I chose to live in impoverished areas. And when I tell you that this is a common thing that people come to me for, is things like, like losing a child, but wanting that contact, wanting that reassurance, wanting that. And here comes that ethical thing. Here comes that ethical question that many spiritualists have to face, which is, do I tell this person what they want to hear in order to comfort them, because they are obviously going through so much? Like, if I say the wrong thing, this person could, who knows, right? Or do I tell them the truth? And mind you, 2005, I'm in college. So I'm like, maybe, how old was I? I don't even fucking know. 19, 20, around that time. Um, so I'm still very new in terms of serving my community. I didn't really start serving my community until I hit like senior year of high school. Like, that's when I was like very much involved in like the local fairs and the local events, and giving readings at the Renaissance fair, and just being in the presence of community in that way. And so when I went to college, um I was getting hit, boom boom boom, with like serious cases. Like, when I say serious cases, stuff that I should not have been fucking with at that time, definitely should not have been fucking with at that time, because your girl was still very wet in her feet, you know what I mean? But I did those things because I had faith. I had full surrender. I had full faith in my spirits and in my abilities to do these things. And I did, and they were successful. And after each successful event, it be that confidence grew, and those abilities grew with it, right? And so it's important, like, for anyone who, is wanting to learn these things, to definitely seek a teacher, definitely seek and really take your time with it. Allow yourself to really take your time with it, but don't be afraid to try. Take on your first client, and if you're really nervous about how big the case might be, maybe have your mentor with you as you take on a case and work through it, and be sort of guided that way. You know what I mean? Almost like an apprentice. Things like that is helpful for your development, because you need that confidence. You need those validations. You need that when you're growing, right? Um, but anyway, so I went off on a rant. But yeah, so she kept coming to my house, right? And it got to the point where I had to be more honest than anything else. And that point was when she herself was starting to come with, I can hear the child. I can feel the child. They're in the bed. I interact. Now you're starting to see where the psychology, because at the time I was in college, my degree is in spiritual psychology. So this was a case where I was seeing in real time where the psychology and the spirituality was really merging in a person who was fully conscious, and but didn't understand the water that they were treading in, if that makes any sense. Like imagine all of us being in an ocean, and you know how unpredictable an ocean can be, right? Those of us who are aware that we are in an ocean can navigate now. We can at least try and swim through. We can make attempts at surviving these crashing waves and whatnot. But there are people who have no idea that they are in an ocean. So they're just bobbling around, getting tossed around, right? And so this is what I was seeing, this sort of dissolution of the mind. Um, and so I was able to peer in and help a person in a very different way. Like, the mediumship, the divinations, the mediumship is one way of doing it, but the other way of healing a person is to heal their mind, is to heal their spirit, to help them grasp what is happening, to bring them back into center. People, it drives me crazy sometimes how everyone is so quick to blame an external source. And we have to come back in. We do, right? So when she was coming to me, and when a lot of clients started coming to me with these kinds of issues, that's when I started realizing, Stephen, that these children's spirits were not their kids. They were coming as, mocking spirits, trickster spirits, spirits of spirits that would cause depression, spirits that tried to cause suicide, spirits that were very much there feeding on a mourning, grieving mother. And things like that is just so difficult to have to communicate to someone who is so mentally broken, right? And time after time, these cases came up. And what I learned in those spaces was that I couldn't do it without the mental part. At the time, I was still a student. So, what I did was I reached out to my network. I said, look, you need to see this psychologist. This is a psychologist that is open to spiritual practices, who is someone who can have these conversations with you, but can assess you mentally and be able to support you in that way. And I'll be here to support you in the spiritual way. But like right now, we can't cross those boundaries. And right now, those boundaries, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So those clients that did that sought the work over there, and then we sought the work over here. And it's difficult sometimes to help a client move through those emotions in order to accept the fact that what they are experiencing is not their child, and that experience is actually detrimental to them and is depleting them. But once it's done, like once that process has happened, once the cleansings and the purifications and the blessings and the passes and the prayers, once it's done, it's never really done, but you know what I mean. To see these women, like, I don't know, I don't really know how else to describe it. But just know, when we talk about children's spirits, they're not the only ones we're talking about. We're talking about mothers. Yes, we're talking about parents. Yes, we're talking about guardians. Yes, we're talking about adults who truly loved these little beings. But we're really honoring mothers here at this time as well. We need to, okay? Oh, hey, Sensista! What's up? Thank you for coming to my live. That's what's up. So teach them what to see and facilitate the opportunities to discover how to see. Word. And I think another thing too is we need to spend time with the kids to kind of come back to that conversation about gifted kids and what we should do with them in terms of the future and whatnot. Especially those of us who grew up and understand it already. It's not just about facilitating an opportunity for them to discover how to see. It's also then at the same time dropping in those nuggets of how to unlearn something. It's very, because you can't, people can only discover and can only obtain what they have the resources to contain and to discover. So if I don't have the colored rods in my eyes, sure, I can see the world, but my capacity to see it in full color, I don't have that, right? So for us to talk to our kids, it's about telling them, hey, you do have rods of color in your eyes, just turn them on. Turn them on. The world is colorful, Open your eyes. Right? And that oftentimes we forget that little piece. We forget that not every kid comes with a 64 pack. And we forget, like, that every kid is getting constantly told that the world is gray. The world is gray. The world is gray. The world is black and white. The world is black and white. Right? They have to unlearn that. So in Puerto Rico, the centros would have classes for the children whose family were a part of Espiritismo. Exactly. So another place, thank you. And that's why I was mentioning earlier. So another place that you will see places that harbor gifted children would be in those like spiritual centers, churches, temples, gatherings, whatever you want to call it. But they would facilitate a space that they would take the children aside separately because they understand that that type of learning needs to be done a certain type of way, right? And yes, and especially in Spiritismo, there are children publications for study on the world of spirit. True. Yep. So, if you were to go to the libraries of psychical research and psychical studies in Europe, if you were to go into any of the archives, like at spirittexts.com, I think it is, you can easily read for free PDFs of great, like wonderful, like children's books that explain, God and this and that, but from a very like non-denominational, very like pan-traditional uh kind of way, really focusing much more on like nature and like things like that that's more relatable and tangible to children. Love it, love it. Lavetta, you are just throwing in the gems right now. Hey, what's up, Tyrone? Oh my God, he's in London right now. Hello. Um, you are throwing in these gems. So Lavetta is saying that sometimes the mentally and emotionally challenged are also gifted. Thank you for bringing this up. So a lot of people don't know this about me. So my specialty within spiritualism, my specialty within serving my community is regarding children with mental health issues and adults with mental health issues, emotionally unstable adults, prisoners, things like that, um, who have crossed over and may be stuck here for whatever the reason. And a lot of times, what I do end up finding out, Lavetta, is that the ones that I'm often called to assess are not gifted because they're stuck there. It's a different kind of challenge that they're going through. A lot of them are nonverbal. A lot of them, there's the functioning skills are very, 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 very low. And this is not a fault of their own. They have very much the capability to learn. It was just the circumstances that they were born into and how early they were sent away, or how early they were um, killed, basically. So if they get killed off too early, or if they get sent away and are never taught to speak or this or that, they're stuck in that stage, right? Um, and so this is what I found a lot when I ended up going on investigations. Um, that's my specialty. If I go on an investigation, I will go to mental institutions, close down psych wards, and houses who have strange behavior that don't seem to fit the norm of a haunting. Things like moving a ball around, things like that would be confused with a child spirit, actually. I'll go in for those. And that's another reason why I wanted to have this live. So there's a crossover in my work. So because I specialize in working with spirits of disabilities, and I also work with children's spirits, because the crossover was just, it was just too much in frequency for me that I had no choice. I didn't want to work with child spirits. I really wanted to avoid that subject altogether. I always kind of had an aversion to just like kids in that way. Um, but as I was moving through these spaces, the children's, they just showed up. Um, so that's another reason why I wanted to have this live, was to show you that bridge. And I'm so glad that Lavetta brought this up. Um, the ones who usually are gifted, but also might have a mental and emotional disability, the chances of them being stuck here are actually pretty low. Pretty low. The Because there's something about the gift. I haven't quite put my finger on it yet, but there's something about the gift itself that offers a sort of peace, an inner peace, an inner clarity for those children, that despite their physical, mental, and emotional challenges, it didn't seem to affect them spiritually because of those gifts. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And so, because of that, usually when they pass, if it's not like, obviously, if it's not traumatic or something crazy, yeah, they're usually good. They usually pass that conversion period pretty quickly. The ones I usually encounter who are stuck here are very, 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 very low functioning individuals, very, very violent, very not violent, handsy, very aggressively handsy. That's the right word. They're not violent. I don't want to ever put that out there. Um, but if you're not ready for it, it's a very unsettling experience when you first experience a spirit that is still imprinted with those traumas, you know? So Sensisa over here, he's in TikTok, you guys. So I got you here, uh, Facebook and YouTube. You guys are here in the live where you can see each other's conversation. I then have TikTok over here and Instagram over here. So Sensisa's over here in TikTok, and he's saying that that they're all gifted, especially in that dream state and premonition state. Are you talking about living children, or are you talking about spirits that have already passed? Because I do believe that all children are gifted. I really do. I really, really, really do. Um, but I think the reason why I see this to be interesting within the the mentally and emotionally disabled population is that there's something there's something that, because of those physical disabilities of the body, somehow the gift or the spiritual part was the thing that remained steady. And I don't know how. Whereas with children, yes, all living children are gifted. But because then life happens, they start interacting with the world, they're starting to learn their ABCs, they're starting to allow the physicality of the world to imprint on their body and to have their senses be stimulated, at which point they lose focus of that spiritual center and they start focusing on the outside. And so then if a child dies prematurely or whatever, there is a chance that that gift that wasn't the thing that allowed them to go over, because they were never really like tuned in with it as they should have been. Because that's yet another mistake that I came across in my experiences. Um, and I'm going to say this with caution. Okay? Because this is not a belief that is universal. This is not a fact. This is not anything other than what I've seen from clients and from revelations and certain gnosis. Okay? And that is, let me take Lovetta's thing out. I have experienced children, living children, I apologize, living children who were not there. And I don't know how to describe it any other way. And this is a very controversial subject because it teeters on a lot of like theosophy and like Madame Blavatsky and like esoteric, fucked up, like real genocidal philosophies of elitism and like one class being better than another and like a lot of just fucked up ideas. This is not what I'm talking about. I am not implying that children that there are children without souls or children without spirits. I'm not implying that at all. But what I'm saying is I've encountered cases where I have seen children with my own eyes. And as a medium, I didn't see shit there, but pure darkness. I've seen that shit. And so I, I think it's important that we sort of like take this. I think we need to reevaluate the idea that we are born pure. I think that's an idea that we need to reevaluate. I think we are born with the potential to be good. We are born good. We are born good. And we have the potential to be pure. The good is the path to that potential, to that purity, the good. But if that shit is beaten out of you, if the good never got to you, I don't know. I don't know what that is. That's what I've seen. So I'll give you an example. This is a case that I had not even 4 years ago, honestly, not even 4 years ago. And it's fresh in my mind. I had a family call me up, and there was one issue at a time. Like it was like I got called up for one thing about one of their children's. We addressed that thing. Cool. Divination, all that. Then they would call back about another thing that attached itself to a different child, but it was different. Divined on that. It seemed to be very specific. We address it, gone, everything's good. This happened a few times, and I tried my best to go past the initial prescriptions, to go past and say, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is happening? And I just kept hitting a block. And I said, okay, you know what? We're going to do a full-on purification, like full on. Everybody, the fucking house, the car, the dogs, everything. We're going to do everything. We're going to purify the fuck out of everything, because I'm not playing. This is too much time, too much work, and y'all don't have that kind of money. Like, no, we're not playing. So turns out it wasn't them at all. It wasn't the house at all. It wasn't anything at all. But there was a spirit on the land. It wasn't a land spirit. It was not a land spirit. It was a child that once lived that was in that land, okay? And this child was stronger than I've ever seen before, because you have no idea how many types of workings and things we did that, like, any other case would have fucking sent away the fucking devil, okay? But when it came to this child, it was like, no. And I experienced this child like a void, like an absolute, just an open, just constantly. It felt like a black hole. I had to keep my distance from it for sure, right? So that's one experience that reminds me of an experience that literally happens 4 months later, right? Like they mirror each other. Sorry, the other way around. They mirror each other, okay? So this is a situation where the same family, daughter's much grown up, she gives birth. I think you know where I'm going with this. She gives birth. This is like, they call me over to come bless the family, bless the house, bless everything, all of the baby's room, all of her things, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I get to the baby, and it was the wildest shit I've ever seen. It was the same exact essence. It was void and none. And it was like this, and I was like, holy shit. So of course we blessed, we did the whole thing, we purified, did the whole thing. Luckily, gone. Everything was gone. But for that moment, I was like, holy shit, will this little bath even do anything at this point? Because like it brought every fear back from when I dealt with that other situation, because it was exactly that feeling. Um yeah. I haven't had many other cases outside of that with children. I've had like maybe two more that I can't even count that one because yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, have you guys had that kind of experience? What is that for you? Who's done this work, or have you ever experienced that before? Like a child that's like something's off. Let's see what we got. Instagram is quiet. Y'all are quiet on Instagram. Right, the susto. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So what Sancisto is saying is it's called in Espiritismo in Puerto Rico, it's called the susto. Okay. And so what he's describing here is that a susto is a traumatic event that the child had experienced within their life. Um, I know. Well, I'm over here, honey. I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook. So both of those spots will have all the conversations and we'll have like the visuals and stuff. But yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are you guys saying here? I'm so sorry. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Oh my god. I went all the way back. There's a beautiful Mexican tradition that I have adopted. Oh. Oh my god, I love that. We'll get back to that one. I love that one. Yeah. Ah, Steven. Oh my god. So just to go back a little bit when we were talking about institutions, that help gifted children, like yeah, um he described here, be careful with certain locations that cater to helping children develop their gifts and abilities. Sometimes these can be very traumatic experiences for them when the leader does not know how children grow and develop. Exactly. Like definitely don't be sending your kid to like people who've never had like a child um ed degree from their university. Definitely not that, you know what I mean? But yeah, yeah. Children may not be ready manifesting wait, children may not be ready to witness adults manifesting spiritual abilities. What do you mean by that, Stephen? That's crazy. What does that mean? Okay. So speaking of oh shoot. Speaking of the emptiness in a child. So we see here that he had seen the emptiness in a child taken from an old Romanian orphanage who never experienced human interaction and affection. Yes, yes, yes. So, so I definitely want to express these are two different things that I'm talking about here. Also a very real this is also a very, very real situation. So the same way that we described trauma and the conditions of death being a factor as to how the spirit transitions or expresses themselves in the afterlife, it too has the same effect on the living spirit, on the spirit that accompanies the body right now. And when a child or anyone for that matter goes through a traumatic event, what is happening is just that. It's like the light gets taken away. It's like there's this just like there's you just go back to almost like that primal survival, thing. And as Sancisto was explaining in over in TikTok, that's the susto. That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what that is. And that can literally happen to anyone at any age. What I was referring to earlier was definitely something different, and I can't describe it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a lack of something or a new thing, or like, I've trust me when I tell you, I have gotten readings on this. I have divined myself on it. I've tried to dream about it. Every answer is contradict. I trust me, I have theories. I have theories up the wazoo, but everything is contradictory. So I can't say. I really can't say. But yeah, that is rough. That is rough. When I was a sex ed teacher, a sexual health educator for Planned Parenthood way back in the day, our primary focus was um, middle schoolers in very high risk, high needs areas, very like unsafe areas, right? And so we would go to these public schools, and it was wild, like, the detectors, the whole nine. And like there were so many lights that I actually did see. And I think that's the part that kind of made me just so appreciative of the generations that are coming, you know what I mean? And the ones that have been born, since the 80s, because there is such a beautiful, beautiful light despite their circumstance, right? And the few times that I ever saw a situation where like a kid was truly just blacked out, being a mandated reporter, you have to report it, right? But there's no evidence. It's not like there was bruises. It's not like he was an isolationist. There wasn't anything other than you knew there was suffering happening, you know. Um, and so I spoke to my bosses, and hopefully they said that they would take care of it, and I hope that means that they would reach out to those schools and reach out to those kids. But I couldn't do anything at that time because of my position. You know what I mean? That was the only time I think I've ever seen that type of situation. Possibly a gray and reptilian. Oh man, doppelganger, changeling. Yeah, you never know, man. The theories upon theories that I came up with, wild. So you've dreamed about a ghost kid for 3 nights asking for help. That is really, really common. That is super, super common, actually. Yes. So let me hide that. Um, so yeah. And honestly, you can do work in your dreams too, Rob. So, not every case has to be in real life. If you are a dreamer and you can lucidly dream and you have the ability to heal and work with your energies while you're dreaming, um, if kids are coming to you for help, there's essentially a possibility that you could assist. But of course, discernment, bro. we As we've discussed, right? Like talking about these mocking spirits and talking about these like strange encounters with children, but also talking about just how spiritually beautiful they are, and like the generations that are coming. And despite all the fucked up shit that is happening in the world, these babies are protesting, these babies are educating their friends, their families. These babies are willing to get kicked out of their homes to have those tough conversations with their families. And I think that is just so beautiful, and we should do everything in our power to support them. And one of the ways that many of us can do that is at least on a spiritual level. Not all of us could be a teacher, not all of us could, rescue that kid, or but we can be there like a big brother or a big sister program is one of the ways that we could contribute our help. Um, offering that neighbor who has children a night of babysitting so that they can go out and have fun with their partner. Um, all kinds of stuff. There's so many ways. I think the problem is, again, there's just so much fear. We're talking about systematic, just layers upon layers upon layers of fear-based propaganda in the media, in our religions, in our schools, in our language, just how our language is formed, like all of that stuff. It's just inherently fucking fearful. It's inherently fucking hateful. And so who would want to leave their kid with their neighbor? Who wants to leave their kid with their neighbor? Especially if you come to my house and you see all the fucking altars all over the place. You'd be like, nah, no, I don't feel safe right now. But on the real though, like not everyone is bad. Like we are all just trying to make a dollar. We're all just trying to come home to our families. We're all just trying to eat a good meal. We're all just trying to laugh. We're all just trying to raise our families and our kids. We're all trying to take care of our elders. We're all trying to find purpose and work. We're all trying to have an adventure and live life. Like, literally, we just want peace. Everyone just wants peace. To be left the fuck alone, to do whatever the fuck they want to do. You know what I mean? And we can have that. We could totally have that. I don't know why it's such a hard concept for people, but I think it starts with the kids. It starts with the kids. That's why we're here, right? It's not like, I don't know, it's not about like, I don't know. I get worried sometimes doing these kind of vulnerable type lives, these kind of open, just open bleeding heart type lives. I get nervous about stuff like that because I don't ever really want to be misinterpreted, because my intentions are always good and my intention is never to talk down on anyone. But like, I don't know. It's not about like starting a movement or creating a coven, or it's not about doing anything on a big scale like that. It's just about affecting each other day to day. When you see that kid in the grocery store and he's a little down, like just like cheer him up, crack him a joke or something. you know um there are just so many ways to educate and uplift, and 90% of it is just in modeling behavior. It's just in being a good person. And I think by modeling those behaviors, despite the response you're going to get, because you're going to get mixed responses. People are going to think you're fake. People are going to think you have an agenda, you're up to something. People are going to think, all kinds of stuff that's coming from those places of trauma. And you have to be the bigger person because you know that. And you have to still be good anyway, right? And like, these are the values that I hope community can teach our kids. It's just be good. Just be good. And if you see someone not good, find a way to make it good. Just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think children's spirituality seems a lot easier than adult spirituality when you think about it, right? It's not about preaching, it's not about saving, it's not about any of that. Like, it's just simply about being. Be and you will become. Guess who said that? Hello. Let's see what's being said here. Sansisa finally joined in. He's just like, I feel like an old man. So Stephen answered my question about the manifest before, right? So I was like, what does he mean about children may not be ready to witness adults manifesting spiritual abilities, right? So he's answering the question. He says, when folks manifest spiritual abilities. So an example, a Pentecostal, folks having a Holy Ghost or a fit, or a medium mounting a wild spirit, or someone having a spiritual attack. Like, they're not ready to see these things. Exactly. Exactly. I agree. I agree. Um, have you ever seen that documentary? It came out in like 2001 or maybe like 99. I can't. It was a documentary, the Jesus Camp. Jesus Camp back on was it Netflix? I don't know what streaming thing it was. But that show made me so sad. But that's exactly it. It's about placing children in spaces that their psychology cannot process yet. Okay? You are you are overstimulating the child. And understanding child psychology, understanding their gradients and how they learn, that's how you expose them to spirituality. And I get it, Stephen. It's very true. Whether you're taking them to, a very, very, very uplifted kind of church, wild kind of church, or whether you take them to like a a wild kind of ceremony or whatever, or even if you take them to a séance where people are chanting things and tables are moving or whatever. These are very theatrical, if you will, theatrical experiences that are meant to induce trance. That's their purpose, is to put the brain from this level to this level, is to shift consciousness. Why would you expose a child to that? So like that's kind of what we're saying. It's like there's like this, go at their pace, see where they're at, go at their pace. Because what we do know about children is that imagery, theatrics, music, rhyming, anything like that will stamp a child's brain for life. Every single one of you in this live right now knows every single nursery rhyme song you have ever been sung. Tell me I'm wrong. So it's it's more than just indoctrination. It's not we're not saying you're bad, you're evil, you're this. That's not what we're saying. This is a very sensitive subject because we don't want to tell people how to raise children. That's not what it's about. Because and there's also, again, context, where people come from, what their traditions are. It is normal in their context, and I think that needs to be respected. What I'm talking about is right here in America, when we see these very right-wing, conservative, very loud, noisy type churches, or when we see these covens with this and this and that, and we're seeing children who learn with those exact methods, being exposed to big concepts like that their brain cannot comprehend at that time, is it can be overstimulating for them, can be difficult for them, right? It's like going at their pace, I think, is a really great point that Stephen, I think, is making, or at least I hope I'm interpreting that correctly, because that's what I got from the statement. You know what I mean? Oh, Lavetta, yeah. So it's our mission to spread light, exactly. And spreading light is not by shoving a candle down someone's throat. Spreading light means being light. Just be light. Oh my gosh, yes! Say it. Say it, Sansista. Yes, this is my exact philosophy, and this is why I love you so much. Like, we get it, we get it. So, this idea of spirituality should be childlike. Listen, y'all. Okay, so I said that this was going to be the live where I get vulnerable, where you get to just meet me and know me. And I don't do this often, right? Um, but this sentiment right here is so, so important. And it is a cornerstone of my practice. Because for me, spirituality should be joyful. We talk about religion like as a whole. We talk about religion as being like an escape, especially when you come from a psychology background, right? Like, you're always like, oh, that's magical thinking, or oh, they're doing this as an escape, or oh, like we try to psychologize and philosophize why we do the things that we do, which makes me a good spiritualist when I'm doing my work, because I'm thorough. I'm always thinking of what the opposite thought of a thing is, so that I can make sense of it all, right? And what I've come to the conclusion is that it's not an escape as so much a remembrance, a return to a a being of that childlike spirit, you know what I mean? And having that experience like a child, right? It should be joyful, it should be playful, it should be the space that you feel free and safe and uninhibited and at your full expression, at your fullest, wide open, wide open. And the only time I can ever imagine that feeling happening for me might be like, I don't know. One of the ones that I always think of is a childhood memory of mine would be like, running through a field of flowers. When we would take our trips to the Hudson Valley, we'd take our long car ride trips to the Hudson Valley, and we would see, the gardens, or we would go up to like the mountains, and I would be in this space that just allowed me to just open like a filleted fucking fish, you know? Um, so like find that for you. That's what it needs to feed your soul. It needs to expand your soul. It needs to grow your soul. It needs to elevate your soul. That's the purpose of spirituality. And if you're not getting that, if your spirituality is a burden to you, that's a problem. That's something you might want to reevaluate. And if it becomes a burden to children, especially, or if your spirituality is at the expense of children, you might need to reevaluate that, right? Yes, exactly. 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 I love it. I love it. I love all these comments. Oh, he's going in. He's going in with the quote. He's going in with the quotes. Hold on. Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Kingdom meaning the spiritual realm, not the clouds where the angels play harps. And this is facts. This is facts. This is why so many cultures do things like they have symbology, they have images of kind of like scales or justice, or kind of like weighing your spirit, weighing your heart to some kind of spiritual standard of excellence or perfection, or lack of weight, holding on to things that are still material. You're measured against these things in a lot of these traditions, and I think that that's really important to emphasize too. Like, if if children need rules, if they need structure, what makes adults think they don't need that? It's just our structure and our rules need to adjust with our age and with our responsibility to the earth and with our responsibility to each other. So those rules will change, but they're essentially the same. We don't get rid of the same rules that we had when we were children. Like, don't take that kid's toy, right? Don't be mean to your neighbor, to your brother, right? Like, those things don't go away. So, oh, I'm losing Instagram. It's okay. Instagram was quiet anyway. Y'all need to participate more. Come on over to Facebook or YouTube or TikTok. But Instagram is about to die because my phone is dying. So sorry guys. Love you. Bye. Oh man. Dun, dun, dun. Let me just share it really quick. Boom, done. And now we can turn it off. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. The astral realm. Yes, the astral realms. I won't post that. I won't post that, Steven. But basically, he was just like, girl, this live is so deep. And it's true. The one thing I love about Steven is he is a devout, uh, uh, um, follower of this show. Like, he shows up to every single live. He says it's part of his nighttime ritual while he's cooking his dinner. And it just brings me so much joy. It literally gives me purpose. It gives me a reason to keep booking these authors, to keep booking these influencers, to keep exposing community to really interesting and different ideas, because we are stuck. We are just spewing the same fucking narrative that we've been spewing for the last 2000 years. And honestly, I'm over it, you guys. Like, I'm so over it. It's not moving fast enough with the current of society. Because, like I said, the kids that are being born since the 80s are a different motherfucking breed when it comes to these gifts, okay? And they're only getting stronger. They're only getting more intuitive. They're only staying more connected to spirit. Like, it's like each little body is a it takes a piece of the veil between our worlds. It rips it out as each child is born, which is like fucking wild to me, right? And so I think it's important for us to talk about these subjects, you know? Oh my God. And oh my gosh. Love you too, guys. Ah! Yeah. So where was I? I'm trying to make sure I covered everything. See, maybe I should have written everything down. So that's where the ADHD comes in. You can blame that. Um, but no, honestly, I didn't script this because I wanted to be authentic. You know what I mean? But now I kind of lost my train of thought. So let me take out a piece of paper and actually write down what I wanted to say to you guys. um, so we did a little bit about spirituality for children, like what we would hope our future would look like. We talked about the possibility of children being born a little bit off, and we're not quite sure what that's all about. We also know that trauma can create a darkness within a child. It can cause spirit fracture, which is why many espiritistas, many spiritualists also need to be very proficient in astral traveling. We need to be very proficient in dream traveling, because part of our job when we're working with the spiritual development of a client or a case that they might be coming to us for, it's about their alignment. It's not just about the case. Their alignment is why the case is a problem. The case is a consequence of their misalignment. You need to address that shit so that this person is not coming back to you again. It's not a money thing. It's not about that. You don't want them to come back to you again. You want them to be able to recognize their light, live and move in grace from that light, and then pass it on to the next motherfucker. Like whoever's in their lives, do the same thing for them and just do it like that. Just that's it. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, but hold on. We talked about what else? Supporting families and moms losing their babies and children. Yes, exactly. So many, oh my gosh. There's some lists. I can go into that. So you said that you help a mom and family on um oh, that's wonderful. So yes, helping families, if you're invested in children or you're invested in families or you're invested in the education of children spiritually or the development of gifts in children, then you need to support the families. And one of the ways that you can do this, Stephen just had a wonderful activity that he does where he helps families set up their altars in their homes, and utilizing obviously the adults and also the children's input in setting up these little altars. So it becomes a family affair, you know? It's needed. It can be a tradition. It can bring families together. That's wonderful. I love that. I love that. Yes, former generations always worked from the outside to the inside. This generation works from the inside out in terms of their modalities. Miss Lavetta, I love you so hard, Lavetta. You are like always in my head, chick. You're always in my head. This is exactly it. This is it. I don't want to know about modern espiritismo. I don't even want to know about postmodern espiritismo. I want to know about futuristic espiritismo. I want to know about how are we going to progress? Like we need to start I think our time about philosophizing what we need to do is done. And I think there are a lot of people in our community who have definitely lit fires. We have, so many beautiful activists in our community, Juliet Diaz being one of them, who are saying, we can heal as we go. We can heal as we go. And it's important, but we need to go. We need to start making moves. And I think that's where we need to be right now. I think we're done talking. I think we know how to be good people. And it now just needs to be a fucking choice. Every day, everything that comes out of your mouth, everything that you feel, everything that you think, everything that you do, it now needs to be a choice of not being a dick. Just don't be a dick every day of your life. And it's pretty simple. And I think and this is not coming again, I talk flippantly because I'm a very sarcastic person. I'm a Latina. I talk with my hands. You know how it is, right? But I think it's important to emphasize that I understand that that can sound flippant and elitist and easy for you to say because you live an okay life. You live a whatever life, whatever you assume I live. And you may be right, you may not, but you do know this: spirituality is joyful. My spirituality is joyful. And so when I live from there, that's what you'll see. That's what you get. You know what I mean? Um, so me joking around, me cursing, me being sarcastic and stuff like that, it's play talk. It's how we all just get along. My community knows me, right? But this is a live where there are going to be people watching who don't know me at all. So let's keep that in mind. And that's why this is a very nerve-wracking and a very vulnerable moment for me, especially as a neurodivergent person and especially as someone who really like social media is so much fun when I can just scroll my timeline and like things and comment on things. It is not fun for me to have to engage social media. It is uncomfortable. I don't like making videos. I don't like commenting. It's absolutely nerve-wracking for me. So please understand how big this is. The few times I have been vulnerable, it's been in like my private Facebook groups or like my private Discord group or like an Instagram message or something like that with individualistic people for a reason. So I speak this way because that is my spirituality. It's joyful, it's playful, it's flippant, it's raunchy, it's a trickster spirituality in that sense, you know? Exactly. It's always evolving, it's always growing. We got to start applying, progressing. This is life. We can't wait for it. We got to do it now. Facts. Exactly. Espiritismo and spirituality in general. All of it. All of it. Exactly. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it. What else do we want to know about children and spirits? Spiritual children. Oh, there's a question for you guys. When we talk about children spirits, we are still limiting the spirit. Please understand, this is still an energy that is in form and in consciousness and is perceivable to us. That doesn't make it a child spirit at its core definition, right? When you think about it, if you want to kind of like just play with the thought for a minute, um, I think that's a funny thing to think about because a lot of people love to like kind of hold on to imagery of spirit. We do this to connect, right? We do this for deep, deep archetypal, primal reasons of understanding larger concepts. We have to do this. Symbols, language, numbers, shapes. This has to be the way in which spirit speaks to us, right? So coming up with gods, coming up with children spirits, coming up with, you know, different spirits of nature and all that stuff, it is limiting, it is condensing spirit. It is explaining spirit to a child. It's like explaining spirit to a child. You have to bring it all the way down to then pull it back out again. And as we bring it back down to its simplistic core, there's going to be a lot of fighting along the way. And especially when we're talking about living children, like our children, like in real life. You know what I mean? We're essentially saying, you know, if you are a spiritual family, this is a conversation you might want to listen to, you know? Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. Shut up. Hold on. Look at you. You're like, oh, I don't want to talk too much, but this just opened up a can of worms. What do you mean? Oh my God. So we're circle people? How does that work? I love that. How does that work? Oh my God, explain it. Oh no, you shouldn't. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But that is so wonderful. I love it. I love it so much. That is wonderful. Mhm. Everything. Love it. It's true. It's true. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here because I love all of this. So far in the chat in our lives, we're seeing a consensus around um, that life and our experience of time, space, uh, everything, the universe, the multiverse, all of it, it functions as a cycle, represented in a circular image of some kind. And you see this all over the world. You see this all over the world. You see, and then you also see those circular images. You can go even deeper than that because we're talking about geometry. Now we're talking about like occult geometry, right? So now you take that further and you start seeing these circles multiplying into other shapes, almost the way in which, an egg multiplies and eventually becomes a baby. But it's this idea of these circles interlinking and interacting with each other. So now you get symbols like, the flower of life, or like, all these different concepts that, again, you're going to see them like all over the world called by different names and stuff. So it makes someone wonder, you know what I mean? How these circles are built upon themselves. At least it makes me wonder. And so I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that I feel like it's more of a spiral. So you're right in the sense that it is taking a circular motion, but I feel that that motion is not happening in just one space. There's a movement happening. You know what I mean? Um, and that movement, it's like a propeller. You know what I mean? And that propeller to me kind of looks like a spiral. It kind of looks like a cone. Um, and I kind of take that image in my mind and I see that on a large macro scale, but I also see that on a small micro scale. So what I mean by that is like when I see this spiral and I'm on a macro scale, we're looking at vibrations, we're looking at waves, we're looking at motion, we're looking at heat, we're looking at natural phenomenon. And within that natural phenomenon, something occurs. And this is like the cosmology of it, right? And to me personally, my like gnosis is that it's sound, it's music, this it's all music. It's all music. And the spiral is the only way I can really express it on a larger scale. But when you come down to the micro level, the whole point of our symbols and our languages and our numbers and our shapes and our categories and our names and our ever ceasing need to structure something and destroy something back to back, I think is a product. It's a product of this sort of spiral motion because we're going to revisit this time over and over and over again, just slightly different as we move. And that slight different is what I like to call progress. Whatever that slight difference is, it's not about an infinite number of things. It's about a very strategic outplay of a particular event at any given time, happening infinitely with everything. And again, when you look at that on a small scale, the only thing that comes close to that is music. it explains all of it. So to me, God is a singer. To me, his creation is music, and his method is sound, it's vibration, it's frequency, you know what I mean? I'm a huge buyer into of like the harmony of the spheres kind of philosophies and things like that. And because I'm a singer, I very much connect to those ideas, you know. Yeah. Quantum physics. Oh shit. Yes. The divine trinity. It's a never ending. Yes. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, Shiva, the destroyer, to then create again. Exactamente. Oh my God. Yes, Sansisa, exactly. I love it because you get to talk a little bit about my husband's practice. My husband is Hindu, although he considers himself a not great Hindu. Like but he is like such a sweet man, and we have our space here and our altar here for those Hindu spirits. And it's true. I one of those one of those actually, you know what? Do I have it here? Oh no, I already. Oh shit, I already packed it away. So one of my favorite spiritual texts is the Upanishads. That's my first favorite. My second favorite is the Tao Te Ching. And the Upanishads is like the perfect explanation for literally all of existence in my mind, as someone who sees everything as sound and seeing all that. And like, just read it. Just go read it. It's not even that long. It's not even that long. It's not even that long. Go read it. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yes, exactly. So music, like things like drumming, can be a representation of your heartbeat, just like life, you know, and God is life. And so it's the eternal, it's the divine heartbeat. It's that's your music. You know, that's your steady, that's your baseline, that's your core, that's your flame. That's God in you. Is that steady beat, right? The rest is the music that you come up with. It's the sounds that you make. It's the frequencies that you put out. It's the frequencies that you allow in. It's the orchestra, it's the play. It's all happening. We're all doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I I don't know. I don't know. I like it like that. It makes sense to me that way, you know? Yes. Co-creation for sure. Oh my God. So this live went so left, but like in a good way. Let's try and reel it in and make it for the kids once again. But actually, since we're talking about music, yeah, I mean, this is why the emphasis early on was a little harsh, but really the takeaway is that children learn from theatrics, from the music, from, from colors and, big expressions and big shows of extravagance. These things imprint on children. And so, because of that, we can utilize that as a way to teach without it being so overstimulating, right? Like, for example, not every child wants music. Sometimes sound, just sound alone, is bothersome to a child's spirit. It might be something that they're not used to right then and there, and that we need to work up to that. So instead, it might be something like gardening or doing something with your hands, like playing with blocks, but having a conversation during that time, or whatever the thing is, or a puppet show or whatever. But my point is, these are methods that you utilize a little bit at a time for that child's growth and learning, and you only know that by spending time with the child. If you're not there, you don't know what their development is. You don't know where they stand on certain things. So spending time with that child is important. So like if you're a spiritist who takes clients, for example, there can be cases that are extreme enough that and this is like real old school. Like I've actually had my this I've never experienced this myself. My mother is the one who's told me about like people that she knew in her building, and like or like stories from like my grandmother back in Puerto Rico and stuff like that. But like if a case is extreme enough with a child, the espiritista or the curandera or whoever the healer is may oftentimes take that child in and actually like have that child live with the curandera for like a period of time in order for the true like breakdown and dissemination of the problem, and then the rebuilding of the blessings and all that, so that it's in a controlled environment. That's happened, you know what I mean? Right. Oh my goodness. Hungry teenager on the way. Oh my god, don't leave, no. Right, Sancisto, you know we can go for hours. If you just let us, just give us any topic, we could philosophize for freaking days, bro. So like I get it. I get it. Hey, Amira, what's up? No. You did miss a lot. You did miss a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? We're here. Ask away. You know what the title is. If you have any questions, it can bring in a fresh perspective, and we can take it from there. But the last like 10 minutes or so, we've been messing around. Yeah, finding balance for everything. Again, being playful with each other. That philosophizing and that discussion on spirituality, that discussion on God, that's the play. That's giving light to each other. That's loving on each other spiritually. And that's being a community. That's, you know what I mean? You're exchanging energy, and it's beautiful energy. So like, yeah, you want to bask in that shit all the time. Sometimes you'd be real mad when you like go to like a party and people just be talking about dumb shit. And you're just like, oh my God, can someone please bring up Immanuel Kant? Right? Like you're just I was such an asshole in college. I really was. I was such an asshole in college. I have such a little know-it-all little shithead in college. Oh my God. Okay. So, ooh, there's a novel. Ooh, I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it up. It's a novel called The Line of the Sun by Judith Ortiz Cofer. Okay. I'll check it out. What's you want to give me like a quick synapse? I'll check it out though. And I'm putting it up so that in case anyone else in the live wants to check it out, there's that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Can I admit something to you guys? I'm going to admit something to you guys. I'm going to admit something to you guys. All right. Super personal. Super personal. I love clowns. I love clowns. I love clowns so much. I love clowns. I love Venetian masks. I love jokesters and tricksters and fucking oh my god. Talking about joy, you're literally talking about my favorite subject in the whole entire world, okay? So going to kids parties is an absolute like such a joy to do, especially if they have like a clown or yes, Lavetta or like a mime or like a jester or something like that. Like I am all over it. The It movies, I was like, "Oh, he's so cute." And everyone's terrified. Or like like Halloween clown shit is like crack. Crack. I love it so much. I love it. Yes. Yes, yes. Because but here's and I used to get just like that, just like this. Hold on. So wait, you wanted to be a clown when you grew up? Oh my god, shut up. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is so freaking adorable. Steven, I literally didn't think that I could love you more. But like this conversation is bringing us to a whole nother level of like spiritual intimacy. Like I just need you to know that, okay, my man? Like I love you so much because oh my god, you guys have no idea. And my mother used to buy me like the little porcelain clowns, all the different figurines, all the different. I had a collection of that. I loved it. All of my dolls, the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls, anything that just reminded me of like clowns. I was all, oh my god, you guys are amazing. Uh, okay, okay. Oh my god. Okay, so you said it. You said it first. You said it first, Sensista. You can't come for me later. You said it first. I didn't want to say it. I was like, okay, Leilani, should I say it? I'm being vulnerable right now. Like, I don't know. Me too, bro. Me fucking too. Like I have a whole ass altar to my clown spirit. Like I have a clown spirit. Like I am in love with the fool. I am in love with the whole concept, like the dramatic happy face, sad face, imagery, the Venetian mask, like the whole I'm obsessed with it, okay? To a level that when we talk about God and music, and like how everything is like music, it fucking doesn't stop there with me. It doesn't stop there with me, you guys. It doesn't stop there with me because the clown fool storyline, that whole stuff plays a very big part in this and is another layer as to why spirituality is joyful. But guess what? True spirituality can be just as terrifying as a clown to someone who sees clowns as terrifying. Right? It's a beautiful practice. It's a beautiful relationship. It is rooted in love. It is rooted in playfulness and joy. It is rooted in all the things good in life, which is youth and childhood, that essence, that innocence. But yet this image still terrifies people. And it's the same thing in the spirit world. Like when it comes to truth, spiritual truth, it looks like a terrifying clown to them. It is terrifying to them. Do you understand? And that's what we need to discern ourselves. We need to be able to recognize that for ourselves in real life and in the spiritual realm, so that we are better protectors and better informants to the youth, right? Because that's the whole, to bring it back full circle, about children, spirituality, all that stuff, you know. So here's my thing. I love you. Oh my God, Santos, you're my favorite person too, girl. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Hold on, I want to do yours too. Hold on. She said, I don't like clowns. They mask. No, thank you. And I love that. I love that. So here's the thing. What is the symbol of joy to you? What is the symbol of joy to you? To me, it's clowns, it's the big circus tent, it's the tight ropes, it's the theater and Shakespeare, it's the opera singer with the fucking the long yellow things. It's everything that represents art, creativity, being expressive, being able to just be a fool and foolish, but also being symbolic of being a fool for God, loving God like an absolute fool. Just anything. You will do fucking anything. That's how much trust, that's how much love you have. That you're just a fool for God. Fool for love. Because love is God, right? It's like that. It's like that kind of ecstasy. And it's a very playful, childlike ecstasy, right? And these are unlimited, girl. Unlimited. Those expressions are unlimited. What you need. And here's the thing. Here's the fucking kicker. You want to hear the kicker? You want to hear the kicker? I have never been to a circus. I've never been to a circus. I've seen clowns and I've seen mimes like, in New York City doing their little bits, and I've seen, kids parties hiring a clown here and there, and of course that, like, I was all over it. But the quintessential, the church, the church of the clowns, okay? I have not visited. I have not visited to pay homage, but yet it still brings me joy. It's a symbol to me. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't even have to be a memory. You may have never had to even experience it. It is something that you connect to in whatever way you connect to it, and you allow that connection, that joy, to be the thing that you emphasize about it, and then you learn everything you possibly fucking can about it. That's called a special interest. And that's how my ADHD is catered to in my spiritual practice. Yo, everyone in this live is like, yo, Leilani, you fucking lost me. Oh my God, Barbara. Barbara. Okay, tell me that you watch Glee. Do you watch Glee, Steven? On Netflix? Well, actually, they took it off Netflix. I think it's on like Amazon now. Barbara Streisand. Oh my God. Everything in all. Yes, full circle. Spirituality is a mirror reflecting one's own joys, fears, creativity, and beyond. Exactly. Exactly. It's a house of mirrors, you guys. And you know where that's located? In a circus. You know what else is located in a circus? Women with beards. Um, Animals that are able to communicate with their supposed friend. Of course, this was never the case, but the image that they wanted to relate was that man and beast were friends. And in throwing, a chicken leg at him, he'll do a fun little trick for you. It was symbolic of having mastery over nature, right? What else is in a circus? Tell me what else is in a circus. Tightrope walkers. If that's not symbolic of what the fuck life is, just fucking walking the tightrope between paradoxes and dualities. I don't know what else to say. Like, when you think of a circus, you think of this space that the clown is like the quintessential like image for me. Like, yeah, some people would say it's the ringleader guy, but for me, the clown is the main attraction. For me, he's the governor of the tent, of the circus tent. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's what it's like. That's exactly what it's like. And some people are terrified of that. So what I find joyful can imbue fear upon people. And what you may find joyful can imbue fear upon others. But we should never, ever, ever, and this is where we all go back to thinking like a child, right? And teaching our children is that differences are beautiful. They contribute to the tapestry of our lives and of our legacies and of our story. But we must never lose sight of the original purpose, which is to love each other as we love God, because we see God in each other and in our natural environment, and in our growth and in our lifetime and in every lifetime thereafter. It is an opportunity to evolve and grow to a perfected state, to a point where just being alive can help people, right? Right now, so many of us have to work really, really hard to help ourselves and then to help others. You can get to that point where just simply existing, even if you're living in a struggling environment, just simply existing brings light to other people. That type of level of, we're not talking about a second coming of one being. We're talking about the ever becoming of all beings, because all beings is the one being. Does that make sense? Like, this is a lot of reason why, like, in Buddhism and a lot of East cultures, we see a lot of ideas of spirits coming back to intercede, spirits coming back to drop some knowledge, spirits coming back to be an example or to sacrifice something, spirits coming back to aid in some kind of epic battle, spirits coming back. So there's like this always this like sense of something will come and save, something will intercede. And I'm just like so over that. I, I feel like that wastes time, and it invites apathy. It invites a lot of things that is just unnecessary for us. And it also stifles things that are so necessary for us, like, service, being good, things like that, and always staying true to that core of loving each other in whatever way we can, even in small deeds. Um, but those kinds of practices can be really detrimental to children for sure. Yes. Who? Wait, converted to what? Converted to what? Smokey Robinson converted to what? Mm. Shut up. What? Okay. If you make plans to go, honestly, let me know. Let's see if we can collab. Let's see if we can like meet up, because that sounds so dope. That sounds so much fun. Oh my god. Oh my god. But hot men's in tight suits. What are the symbols of these? Come on, guys. What would be the spiritual symbolism of hot men in tight suits? That's the. I love it. Oh my god. Oh, you guys are too much. And who loves circuses? Children. Word up. Exactly. Exactly. A plus B equals C, y'all. Yes. Well, yes, this is my gnosis for sure, Lavetta. This is 1050% my personal gnosis. This is just me, as if I was like having coffee with friends. Again, this is vulnerable. This is just me talking my shit. And trust me when I tell you, in a Puerto Rican family, talking shit is like, we do it best. But my talking shit at least engages thought just a little bit. Like, I'm not, trust me when I tell you, I am not an intellectual beyond any means. Like, I've seen people have conversations about what we're talking about, and all of us be sounding just like children, like children. Let's be real. so so tonight is totally 100% my gnosis. And any of these comments is 100,000% respected, for sure. For sure. Um, Santos is like, no, fuck clowns, and I get it. Santos is like, no, thank you. I love it. Yes. Great question. Okay, so thank you, Santos, for bringing it back to the original subject that we did this video for, and that is children and spirituality, children, mediumship, children, gifted children, any of those subjects surrounding kids, and spirituality. So this is a great question. If you have a spirit child with you, which can happen, yes, you can definitely call on your spirit guides to come and receive that child. 1000%. 1000%. But you know, how you go about doing that is going to be based on your tradition. So like if your tradition would be like espiritismo or any type of practice like that, calling in the spirit guide to remove a spirit child would require ceremony. Like it would require a gathering, okay, of several mediums who are there for that purpose. Okay. Welcome to the spiritual circus. Oh my God. Should I name my next blog that? I think I'm going to name my next blog that, honestly. That sounds awesome. And just spew just like circus spirituality, just like all of my wild, ridiculous clown music ideas. Yeah, I think it's relatable. I think it's relatable. I mean, Jesus Christ, we had Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger. Brilliant performance in Batman. Brilliant. We will never see that role played better. Like that's it. He's done. He locked down that role. Him, oh my God, he locked down that role. At least for me. For me, he did. Um, yeah, man. That's our generation. I think it would be very relatable. Can I tell you something? Tonight, this conversation tonight, um, I think has been a lot of fun, but I also think it's been very enlightening for a lot of people. I can sense it in the spaces right now. So I kind of just want to take a moment and calm down the excitement in the sense of just how awesome and connected we all are in these ideas, even if they're slightly off or slightly different. And just kind of bask in that feeling for a second because that's all facts. What it's about. That's what it's about. Oh, this is interesting. So I have a child spirit ancestor who has been with me since ours was a kid, and he is still with me. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And notice how he said child spirit slash ancestor. I think it's important to recognize that because this isn't just any child spirit. If it was just any child spirit, we would need to go further into what that's all about. But it's interesting that it's ancestor because there's that means that there is a soul lesson if you don't already know that. You know what I mean? Like when we talk about our spiritual courts, when we talk about our spiritual teams, when we talk about who walks with us, right? We're talking about spirits who are invested in our spiritual growth, but who are also armed with all the tools necessary for the experiences in our lifetime. And this is why some guides may come and some may go. Some may be with you at birth, and some may only be there for a season. Some may have a purpose that seems a little weird, but you find that their skill set was needed at that time. And this is why it's so important to honor when you have such a beautiful spirit ancestor like that, because to be like connected to that joy, that youth constantly, I think is just so beautiful to be able to tap into that. That's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, good night. Good night, Rob. Good luck on your trip. Oh my goodness, you guys. I should have announced it. He's probably gone by now, but Rob is taking a trip over to the West Coast, and it's regarding like it's a convention, and a lot of different spiritual speakers will be there, diviners will be there, and wonderful Rob will be teaching a class there, and we're also very proud of him. Rob is an amazing, amazing medium among many other wonderful titles, and he's just a really awesome and sweet human being. So if you guys are in that area, I'm hoping that he watches this again later and is able to tell me or comment the location and dates and times and stuff. All right. Oh my goodness. Oh, I am not posting that Sunseas. Sunseas was like, he's so silly. He said I wanted to grow up to be a go-go dancer. He's like, I love you so much. Oh my god, I love it so much. So you have an imaginary go-go dancer name. You still I want to ask. I want to ask so bad, but I'm not. I'm not going to do it. Some things must remain sacred, but oh my goodness. It's so true, Lavetta. The energy never ever ceases, even after death. Exactly. And that's the great mystery. Because no matter how confidently people speak about the afterlife, nobody fucking knows. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody fucking knows. No matter how confidently they speak about it, no matter what their experiences are, no matter what their titles are, nobody fucking really knows. Um, because every day we see various types of near death experiences. We see out of body experiences. We see a lot of evidence that there is something that happens when we pass away. But so far it is very much chalked up to how the brain slowly dies, and what happens to those neural nets, and then how it manifests uh, within our internal visionary shit. You know what I mean? Like how we dream and shit like that. It's basically a long ass dream that happens as you're going. So yeah, man, that that information makes experiences and makes things have to be reanalyzed and looked at and start to see where the common grounds are, right? So some of the common grounds that you might see would be things like um I saw a light, right? So you might have some people that experience that, or you might have some people that experience I saw nothing. So that's a vast difference between someone who saw a light and someone who saw nothing, from cases of like near death experiences and stuff like that, or some people seeing hell and some people seeing heaven, or some people uh, seeing this and some people being seeing that, and coincidentally those things are connected to the cultures that they grew up in or connected to the religions that they are already a part of. We haven't had any evidence of people experiencing things that were outside of their own personal images of religion and spiritual practices. At least not yet. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure my girl over there on Facebook, I love her dearly. We did an interview, actually two amazing interviews. I call her the human encyclopedia. I bet you she's gonna hear this live and she's gonna be like, bet. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna show it to you, Leilani. I'm gonna be like, yes, we found one. Because she is a brilliant, brilliant woman. Brilliant, okay? Okay, she is Professor Wham. All right, so go back to my YouTube channel. We did a whole live on how Nazis invaded uh, basically how Nazis basically just invaded everything in our country through, through with the symbols of paganism, and how those things interlocked. And it was a part one, and I still need to do that part two. And the part one focused very much on like the history of, those Norse practices, and the various different sub tribes, and the various different locations of the folk traditions and practices at those times. And it's amazing how those images got hijacked by these neo-Nazi movements, and by these, racist hate groups, and by these like Puritan like kinds of things, and was like very much, it was a culture here in America that rooted obviously from the Nazis coming here and all that, but like it's like this whole beautiful tapestry that she starts all the way from Europe, and she like brings the information all through here. And she's just so brilliant. And then the second live was, I mean, let's be real, it's no longer a conspiracy anymore. It was a whole live on human trafficking, human child trafficking, and it was a whole live on the conspiracy of the cover-ups of child trafficking, and specifically, being here in New York, and being in certain areas of New York, where there are actual camps that are proven to exist here, that are part of these movements and part of these magical traditions that basically see children as like food for their spirits. You know what I mean? And not necessarily sacrifice or anything weird like that. Although it's, who knows how far some of these like larger organization cults function. I really don't know. But like but it could be. But we do know that, there's evidence, and then there's some conversations happening, and documents being released and stuff. She goes into like some shit that's like so wild. Again, my memory sucks, but she's a brilliant woman who does her work like hard body. So go back and definitely watch those videos, and I bet you $1,000,000 she's gonna be like, Leilani, I found a case, or I found several cases that agree that this happened. I bet you. That's my girl. I'm gonna have to tag her now that I spoke so much about her. And be like, oh, did like a whole 20 minutes on you, girl. Exactly. Say it again for the people in the back, and that is why I am posting it. In many indigenous cultures, and this is why we consider God and the afterlife the great mystery. We can call it by any name we want, we can put any symbol we want to it, as long as we are aware and conscious of the fact that by putting that symbol on it, by putting that name to it, we are limiting it. And we must always be cognizant of that, because losing sight of that causes what we see today, what is happening right the fuck now. Okay? So, that great mystery, and we need to be comfortable with it. We need to be comfortable with, we don't know. Say it with me now. I don't know. I don't know. Leilani, what happens? I don't know. Leilani, who is? I don't know. I don't know. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm legit okay with that. That's why I relate to clowns. The clown is like, yo, we don't fucking know. So let's party. But it's within the tent. You see what I'm saying? It's a very controlled environment. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's. They just see like a body. So it looks like, Leilani, there's a spirit in your room right now. The spirit of, what are you wearing? The Steelers. Anyways, but yeah, gotta be cool with it. Gotta be cool with it. Yes. Aw. Oh my God. Stephen, I think you and I should get together and publish a book for children. And I sincerely mean that. I sincerely mean that. I think we should not I don't want like an agenda or anything like that. Like no agenda other than just the core truths of nature and how we function with each other, which is a beautiful thing. And it's supposed to be a beautiful thing. Um, but expressed in this sort of like clown world. I would love to do that with you. And then we can just find someone who'd be willing to draw it or someone who's good with CGI. And then we can make that happen. I would absolutely love that. Oh, honey, that is wonderful. Yes, I love this. To properly communicate, it is perceived that I think, therefore I am, in the presence of I am, therefore I think. Mm, I love that. You guys, we went way over time. We went like so over time. So I am going to start wrapping it up. Okay. And I just want to say to everyone who joined us on the live tonight, even if you didn't comment, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my Facebook page, um, to our TikTok channel. And if someone can spread the word on Instagram, since Instagram died on me, please subscribe. Because I want to have more open conversations that are just us, and obviously not regularly in public like this. This was a once in a lifetime thing for me. I think that was enough excitement. I don't think I'm going to do this again. I'll be honest. That's the Virgo speaking in me. Um, but I had a nice time, and I think I will continue maybe doing it sporadically within my private groups more often. So that's it. And I hope everyone has a beautiful night. And if you have any questions, feel free to visit my website, okay? Magicalsolution.com. That's magical with a CK. Um, Anything else you need to know? Subscribe to my mailing list also so that you know what's going on in the next couple of weeks. November is going to be a very, very busy month for me, and I would love for you guys to be a part of it. Let's see. That's it. I think that's it. I'm done. All right, guys. Have a beautiful night. Thank you so much. And don't forget, this is how we grow.